What is up, everybody? It's your boy NornRad89 here with another ranking video, and you know it's time. Scream 7's out. It is finally time. I know it's going to be controversial. This is not going to make anybody or any fans or anything happy. Everybody's list is their own list. Like, this is just my list, my ranking. Your ranking is going to be completely different. But today, I'm going to tell you my ranking of the 7 Scream films and why it is the way it is. So let's get into this. Roll it. So Scream is a slasher franchise that has been there for many decades for me in terms of just starting in the 90s and then going all the way now to 2026. It's been a very consistent franchise in terms of the 7 films. I know Wes Craven was the main god of this film, you know, the granddaddy godfather, and then also Kevin Williamson. And what they did with that first film was just so iconic. What they started with the meta commentary and all that, and then come to find out we are now in 2026. We just had Scream 7 come out, and it's been a very tumultuous road getting to this movie, but today you're going to hear my ranking of the films. And of course, this is just my list, my opinion, and there's really only one film in this entire franchise that I really just give like a negative, mediocre rating to. Like all the other ones I have fun with and I enjoy. So let's get into this ranking. So coming in the last place spot at number 7 is going to be Scream 3, and this is really no secret on the channel. This is one that I've talked about many years of being just a film that I don't enjoy. This is the first Scream film that ever came out, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this. Scream 3 is a prime example of, for me, a film where they tried to be like Scary Movie. They weren't trying to be like Scream anymore. They saw what Scary Movie did with their content, and they literally try to parody their own film within the film. I mean, it's Scream 3. They're making a stab movie in the movie. We have duo leads of, you know, having Dewey, and we have Gale and multiple Sydneys because there's actors playing them in the movie, but then we have the real characters in the film too. So for me, it's just a parody film, and it doesn't work. And the fact that we end up finding out at the end in the third act, it's Roman, it's her brother, and he got left by the mom and he's jealous and everything. I freaking hate it because it undercuts Billy and Stu and their motive in the first film. I can't stand that about Roman. And also, it's very unbelievable when you watch the film that Roman was able to execute all the stuff he did by himself. Coming in at our number 6 spot is going to be Scream 4, and this is one that I want to like more. I do enjoy this film, but Scream 4 is the prime example of the one Scream film that when I watch it, I want to like it so much more. But for me, it's just the way it looks is very jarring. I know that shouldn't be something that bothers a lot of people, but when I return to this film and I watch it, I always think, oh, this is not going to be a problem. I'm going to forget about how this film looks, and I'm just going to enjoy it. No, this film looks like it was shot with a perfect sheen filter on it. Everyone looks beautiful and immaculate. No one has a blemish on their fucking face. They all look sexy and gorgeous, and it's just, I can't stand it. Like I said, this film looks like it was shot with like a perfection filter on it, and it is actually quite annoying and quite jarring when you watch the film. Other than that, some of the characters are really good. Kirby is probably one of the best additions to the franchise. She is really fun. I also love Judy Hicks as well. Neve Campbell gives a great performance in this one, but also when we get to the third act, this was a prime example of, for me, one of the films like the previous film, Scream 3, with Roman. They dropped the ball in the third act, and I really didn't have a lot of fun. It just got more convoluted and controversial, and when we get to the hospital, it's just becomes to a point where it's so unbelievable, and I'm not really down with it. So Scream 4, sadly, is one that I always want to like more than I do. Like I said, I don't give this one a negative rating like I do Scream 3, but Scream 4 is just, it's hard to look over the problem. Now, coming in at our number spot is going to be, like I said, this is the number 5th spot, and for number 5 and 4, this was the ones that were the hardest for me to place in terms of where I wanted to rank them and all that stuff. It's just, for me, Scream 7, it's hard to rank it because I've only seen it once, and when I watched it that first time in my Rad movie review, I said I liked Scream 7 better than 6. Then I actually went back and rewatched 6, and it ages pretty well. I watched 6, and that was only the third time I watched Scream 6, and it aged pretty well, and I liked it a little bit better, like a hair better than Scream 7. So coming in at this number 5 spot is going to be Scream 7, the most recent addition to the franchise, which is one that I think is getting a lot more hate than it deserves. And because of that, it has to do with a lot of reasons why they got rid of Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. But also, some people have a lot of problems with the third act reveal in this one, which I think the characters and the actors it is at the end, I have no problem with that. It's literally the motive. The motive is one of the worst motives in the entire franchise, and that's kind of why I put Scream 6 above this one, is because Scream 6, at least with the third act and the motive, it might be an exact copycat of Scream 2, but at least it's believable and it's understandable, whereas the motive for Scream 7 is complete garbage. But there's a great Sidney Prescott performance in here. Gale Weathers might be one of the best Gale Weathers in here, and the chase sequences, the ghost face sequences and the kills, very top notch in this film. So that's why Scream 7 beats out 4 and 3 in my opinion. Now, rolling in at our number 4 spot, I just talked about it, was Scream 6, and this is one that I think, like I said, it ages pretty well. I only watched it 2 times in the first year that it came out, and then I waited until, like I said, I just saw Scream 7, and then I was like, you know what, let me go back and watch the Scream films before I do my ranking, just to really assure myself and solidify my feelings on some of these films. And Scream 6 and 7 were the ones that were the hardest to place because they were battling the most for their position. But I put Scream 6 above 7, like I said, even though I don't like the hammy performance by Dermot Mulroney and the kids in the third act of this film, when you get to realize that it's Richie's family, his father, and his siblings that are the ones taking revenge. I love the motive. I understand the motive. It's just that acting in the third act, I'm not too comfortable with it. But like I said, because of the motive, because this one strays different from the other ones and they go to New York, and I do love Sam and Tara. I really love their sister bond, and it gets even stronger in this film. So Scream 6 beats out Scream 7 just by a hair, which is kind of crazy because I flip-flopped that on, like I said, on recency bias. When I watched Scream 7 at the theater, I thought it was better than 6, but who knows? Maybe when I watch Scream 7, when I get it on physical media, maybe that one I'll like a little bit better than 6. So these are the 2 that are probably going to flip-flop the most in future, rankings and stuff and all that in the future, because my feelings on them are just split just a little bit. Now we're here at the top 3, but before we get down to that, be sure to like, share, subscribe. That definitely helps out the channel. And when it comes to this franchise, these 3 are solidified my favorite 3. It's going to be very hard to beat them because with these 3 films, I think they do all the Scream formula stuff the best. That's why Scream is probably one of the most consistent and reliable franchises in horror. They don't stray away from their formula too much, and when they do, they take very minimal risks, and that's just honesty. Like, to be honest, all the Scream films are predominantly the same. There's only a few, like pretty much Scream 6 and 7 were the only ones that tried to do something different with the franchise. Every other Scream film is pretty much exactly the same. So I know that's why some people get upset about that, and they get like, Scream fans are like, what? Why? How could you say that? That's in all honesty, that's the truth. That's why Evil Dead, the franchise, and the Scream franchise are so consistent. Their films are literally almost exactly the same. But when it comes to Scream, it's more about the reveal and the killer reveals and the motives. And that really ties the film together. And I think these 3 films that you're going to find out next in my ranking are the ones that, to me, do it the best. And that's a big reason why they're up here in the top 3. And coming in at the number 3 spot is going to be Scream 2, the very first sequel to the Scream film. And this one was, sending Sidney Prescott to college. We had Randy back and Dewey and Courtney Cox, and I think Courtney Cox does a fantastic job in here as Gale. This is another great performance by David Arquette as Dewey as well. And I think the reveal in this one, like I said, when we end up finding out it's Mrs. Loomis, who is played by Laurie Metcalf, and we have Timothy Olyphant, who plays Mickey. Great. Their monologue, their whole third act sequence is one of the best. And I think Scream 2 is a great film in foreshadowing. Like, this is one of those films, like, if you pay attention to some of the stuff in the first and the second act, there's little breadcrumbs, but it's not like telegraphed, where I feel like in some of the other later Scream films, like Scream 3 and Scream 4, it's more telegraphed as to what the actual killer is going to be. Even 5 Cream. I love Scream 5 Cream, but that one you could easily tell if you're intelligent with the Scream genre and the formula, you could tell who the killers are in that film. And I feel like Scream 2 was one of the last ones where it was kind of like, oh my God, like this kind of came out of nowhere. And it really does tie the film together. And I think there's so many cool chase sequences in here. There's a moment in here that does bug me a little bit when, you know, Sydney's crawling over the ghost face and she refuses to unmask the killer when he's knocked out, which that's Mickey. I believe that's Mickey's ghost face, and he's knocked out in the front of the car when he's trying to kill them when they're being escorted away. And yeah, that scene still kind of irks me and bugs me, but Scream 2 is a really strong film in this franchise and a very good cold open as well, and deserves this number 3 spot. Now we have the number 2 spot, the runner up to the gold medal, the top dog, and number 2 is going to be 5 Cream. I was really honest with when I came out of the theaters after seeing Scream 5, that was easily my second favorite experience with the Scream franchise ever, and it consistently stays that way. When it comes to 5 Cream, I love the introduction of Sam and Tara. I think it is great. That cold open is another one of my favorite cold opens with Jenna Ortega when she's getting the calls from Roger L. Jackson's Ghostface. Like, some of the best moments. I actually really love that cold open, and it's because of the dialogue between him and Jenna Ortega's character and the brutality of the ghost face in this one. And also that this one, formula-wise, is really close to the first film. This is almost exactly like the 96 first film, but I think they execute all the nostalgia well, where it doesn't feel like nostalgia baiting, or it doesn't feel like it's trying too hard or too much to be like the original. It just feels very natural, like it is the original, and I love it. And when we get to the reveal, I think when it comes to Amber, that is one of the best reveals of a killer ever, where she just pulls out that gun and shoots Liv in the face, and it's like, welcome to the third act. I was like, holy shit, it's about to go off. And then Richie is actually like, it feels like a betrayal, like a backstabbing moment when you end up finding out it's him, because you wanted to believe in him so well, because Jack Quaid does sell you on the character. And I think this film still has 2 deaths in it that are the most potent for me, and that's Judy Hicks and Dewey. Those 2 deaths I still get so emotional about, and I love the fact that 5 Cream will always have that for me. I cried and I had tears in my eyes when it happened in the theaters, and I still get really emotional even though I know it's coming when I watch the movie and rewatch it. And that film I watched like 6 times in 2 years, so I knew right off the bat that Scream 5 was my second favorite, because that's the one easily out of all the Scream films since the first one has given me the best experience and I've had the most fun with. But of course, the top dog is always going to be, this is a rarity because in most horror franchises for me, I'm a sequel whore. I champion Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. I champion Friday the 13th Part 6. I think Psycho 2 is better than Psycho. So I'm always one of those people that champions sequels more. But the Scream franchise, it's just, that first film is so iconic. It's the cast, it's the dialogue, the story. It hit at the perfect time because it was a film that was so ahead of its time. And it was speaking on slashers at the time, horror movies. It was meta commentary. So Scream, that first film, really does hit hard and will stand the test of time for many, many years. Like I said, out of all the films, horror franchises, Scream is that film that just, it's so iconic. And no matter how hard they try, that cold open with Drew Barrymore, it is so potent and so amazing. Every time you watch it, it's like the first time you watch it. You're so jazzed and so excited about it. And I think Billy and Stu, in terms of the killers, when you get to the third act, they have the best chemistry, the best dialogue, and some of the best moments with Sidney Prescott in that third act. So Scream from 96 will always be up there, and it's going to be very, very hard to beat if they keep going with the Scream franchise. Like I said, I don't think they're ever going to. I hope so one day. That would be really cool, but I just don't think they're ever going to beat that film, because yeah, Scream 96, it's in my top 10 horror films of all time. Like, that's how good this film is. It's just an iconic slasher for so many reasons, and it's hard not to say stuff that's already been said, because there's been so much stuff that's been said about this film, and it's all true. It is that iconic. Thanks for sticking around me all for this ranking of the Scream franchise. Please like, share, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. But also down below in the comments section, share your list, your ranking of the Scream franchise. Like I said, this is just my ranking, my opinions. Everyone's is different, and I would love to discuss with y'all down below what are your favorite films in the franchise. But most importantly, y'all know what's up. Have a safe and happy day. Peace out.